Okay, so here we are with the final installment of the review of Chapter 2 and getting us prepared for taking the Chapter 2 test. And I think we left off on number 27. And 27 says, a person buys items and sells them on a website. The table shows the profit earned for each item. Suppose that in 1 week the person sells 8 mantle clocks, 5 frame mirrors, and 3 candles. Find the average daily profit. You know that average means the mean, and in order to find the mean, what you'll do is add up all the values and divide by the total number of values. So what we'll do here is, let's take care of the 8 mantle clocks, and that gets us $33.04. That's for 8 mantle clocks. Framed mirror. We are actually losing money when we sell a framed mirror. We're selling them below what we paid. That's no good, but here we go. 5 frame mirrors times $1.65 puts us at negative 8 1/4. And then the candles, we sold 3 candles. 3 candles at $2.36 each. Okay, it's going to be $7.08. Let's go ahead and add this up first. So when you're doing the average, you add them all up. So $33.04 plus, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do $33.04 and $7.08 first. 7.08. 2 carry the 1, and that's $40.12. Let's go ahead and subtract now 8 1/4, and that gives us $31.87. Now, don't divide by 3. I know it looks like 3 here, but it's not. Remember, there's 8 items, 5, and 3 items. So altogether, we're talking about how many candles? What, 16? I'm sorry, not candles. How many items? 16 items. I think 16 candles is the group or something. But 16. So take your total, divide by 16. And, once again, on the test, there's not going to be a long division. So a question like this really is probably not going to be on the test, but it's good practice for the times that you do get a calculator. Now, the answer I got is $1.99. So this equals $1.99. So the average profit is about $2. So I am not proud to say that my answer is wrong in some way. The answer key says 4.55. So here is a great little circumstance or instance of where I probably didn't read something carefully. So find the average, and there you go, daily profit. I was doing weekly profit, looking at the numbers here, and thinking this is probably an easy question. So let's go back and fix this. My mistake. Daily profit. Okay, how dare they. Fixing this real quick. Daily profit, if you profit $4.13 for the week, daily, divide by 7, that means you're making a whopping 59 cents daily. That would be per mantle clock, so times by the number of clocks you sell. You sold 8, so 59 cents times 8, $4.72. Alright, so it's better. Let's keep going. Now, daily profit, if you sold, for the week, you're losing this much. Divide this by 7. You are losing, it looks like 0.235. 0.235 is 0.24, about 24 cents per day. And you sell 5. It'll be about $1.18 loss, I should say. And last and not least, we have to do the candles. $2.36 for the week. Divide by 7. It's per day, about 34 cents per day. For the candles per day, you sold how many times 3? $1.01. $1.01. Alright, see what happens here. We're going to add $4.72 and $1.01 and subtract $1.18, and the answer we get is, drum roll please, $4.55, which is the answer in the answer key. Oh boy. So, that was a doozy, as Miss Beckles says. Let's move on to number 28. Simplifying expressions. Ah, yes, much better questions. Simplifying expressions, something that you must be able to do, especially because when we start doing equations, you must be able to simplify the left and right hand side. So just to begin with number 28, we have 10x minus the quantity x plus 3. This is distributive right here. The negative must be distributed to everything inside there. It's like negative times all this. So negative x and negative 3. Negative times positive is a negative. Now we have 10x comes down. 10x minus, that's 1x, right? 10x minus 1x is 9x, and 9x minus 3 is as far as you can take this. These are not like terms, therefore they cannot be combined. Answer, 9x minus 3. 29, we have negative 2x times the quantity x minus 6. Distribute this times x. Now, in front of the x there's a coefficient of 1, so you can think of this as negative 2 times 1, which is negative 2, and then x times x, which is x squared, negative 2x squared. Keep going though. Distribute again to the negative 6. So multiply negative 6 times negative 2, which is positive 12, and then x. And that is it. Negative 2x squared plus 12x. Next, it's your favorite, the fractions. Now, you cannot do anything on top. You cannot do anything on bottom. So what you have to do is divide out this and then this, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do first is do negative 6x divided by 10, and that's going to be negative 6x divided by 10, and then 15 positive divided by negative 10. A positive divided by a negative is a negative, so minus 15 over 10. Let's simplify further. Divide by 3. No, divide by 2, and divide by 2. Negative 3x over 5, and then minus, divide by 5 is 2, divide by 5 is 3. Okay, and that looks pretty good. They're going to just, make this look a little prettier. We prefer the x right in the middle, so what I'm going to do is adjust this a little bit. This is the same as, you know what? And there's an error made. I'm looking at this right now. Do you see the error? I have here a negative divided by negative, and that's not a negative. So let's correct that as I'm struggling here to finish. But gotta be careful. I'm sort of looking back as I move forward, and a negative is positive. So this needs to be fixed. There, better. Okay, so it should really be 3/5, and then put the x in the middle. That's the way you're going to see it. So an x on top is the same as x in the middle, and then minus. And you can leave it as an improper fraction, that's fine. Okay. And you can put that right there. Number 31, it says, use the distributive property in mental math to find the total cost of 6 notebooks at $3.95 each. This one is kind of annoying. Let me tell you why. I'm going to tell you why, because here's what they're looking for. Actually, here's what they're not looking for. They don't want you to just do 6 times $3.95. That's way too easy, right? Plus, what's to distribute there? You're just going to do normal multiplication, and that's nothing fancy. They would like you to break this apart into 6 times, and then let's write $3.95 some way really weird. Like, $3.95 is the same as $4 minus a nickel. Okay? Or in other words, 6 times a quantity of 4 minus 0.05. So, I mean, nothing you have to worry about, but they're just showing you this distributes to be 24, and that distributes to be negative 0.3, and that's the same thing as doing this, but you're writing it with the distributive property. Of course, you can get the answer. It should be like 2370. That's what I'm more concerned with here, what the final answer is, 2370. But you can see that 395 could be written as this. I suppose instead of writing, here's a made-up example. 4 times 3. Instead of writing 4 times 3, I could write, let's be weird here, 4 times 1 plus 2. And 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times 2 is 8, and of course it's positive, and 4 plus 8 is 12, or 12. So, just a little bit weird. Number 32, perimeter. That's when you add up all the sides, and then area is when you multiply the length and width. So we got to do both. So let's add up all the sides for perimeter. 6, and this is 6 also, so 6 plus 6, and this is 4 plus 2, 4 plus 2w, and then this is also 4 plus 2w. We're adding up all the sides to do perimeter. Combine like terms where you can. That's 12, that's 8, and that should be 20, and 2w and 2w is 4w. So basically the perimeter is going to be 20 plus 4w, or I prefer 4w plus 20, but either are correct. That's the perimeter. I'll put P. For the area, it's length times width. So you got to do L times W for area. 6 times 4 plus 2W. Now this is screaming distributive property, right? Distribute. That's 24. And that's 6 times 2W, which is 12W positive. There's your answer there. Or 12W plus 24. That's for the area. The next group, we're going to go and approximate the square roots. The square roots are going to be on the test, and you probably will have to approximate them. So let's practice. We learned that the square root of 25 is 5. It's what number times itself makes 25, and the square root of 36 is 6. Now, if they're giving you the square root of 35, it's pretty close to 36. I'm going to take a wild guess here and say it's 5.9, but who really cares? It's the nearest integer. Read the directions. Don't put 5.9. Very important to read the directions. Nearest integer, 5.9 is about 6, so the answer for number 33 would be 6. Next one is negative. Now, careful with these as well. This basically says find the square root of 150, and then your answer, make it negative. Bam, make it negative. So the negative is when the waiting on the outside to attach itself. But first we need the square roots that are closest to 150, like 144, which is valued at 12, and 169, which is valued at 13. 150 is closer to 144, so it's probably going to be 12. But be careful, attach negative, negative 12. It's way on the outside, so about negative 12. Because 144 is closer to 150, as opposed to this over here. Alright, 18. The square root of 18. The square root of 18, let's think. Square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 25 is 5. So 18 is closer to 16, which is closer to 4. Answer, 4. Got to get these last few in, otherwise I'm going to make a whole new video. So let's try to finish this out strong. I'm going to go ahead and skip these ones down here, but you're not really going to be held accountable for cubic roots. So the answers, if you care to know, are this and that. If you want to discuss that just prior to the test, let me know. The last three. You've got a town square, and it's 14,400 square feet. Find the length of one side. So basically, a perfect square, well, they want to know what the length of one side is. Now, you know this times this should make 14,400. So just take 14,400 and hit your square root key, 14,400, square root key. It's a 120 by 120 square. So the answer is 120. One side is 120. Square it, 14,400. Last two. Okay, so we're plugging in for x in these questions. The number 37, x equals 25. So plug in 25, just like that. And the square root of 25 is 5. And then 2 minus 5 is equal to, careful, negative 3. The last question, 4. Now this means 4 times the square root of x. So when they're side by side next to each other like this, it's multiplication. But first, do what's in the root. They're saying x is 1, so you plug in a 1. The square root of 1 is 1. Times 4 is 4. Last answer. So I actually have like 45 seconds to do the last two questions. And there will be one cube root question that's a bonus question. That's extra credit. So let's compare 5.7 to cube root of 125. What times itself 3 times over makes 125? 5. Because 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. And which is larger? Or actually, you're going to do it like this. Greater than. 5.7 is greater than 5. And the last question, the cubic root of negative 7 or the cubic root of negative 6 with a negative on the outside. Now, what times itself 3 times makes negative 7? It's going to be a negative answer. What times itself makes negative 6 is going to be a negative answer. but there's a negative way on the outside to attach itself. The double negative will cancel, making the answer this.